Are you gonna go? Okay. Well, it was back in 2012, and I was football and she was volleyball, and I saw her about a month ago. Just she was practicing with the team, and I kind of caught my eye, and so then we went to just a kind of like a get-together party, whatever you want to call it, and I saw her from across the room, and so as people, kind of
love at first sight.
yeah, just kind of found our way to meet in the middle and whatnot, and kind of just hit it off, and really just kept talking from there, and the whole,
we started Facebooking.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we were at like this, I think it was like an athlete ice cream social thing, and I remember his friend coming up to me and being like, "Yeah, Douglas thinks you're cute," and I was like, he doesn't even talk to me, like, what in the world? And he ended up Facebooking me like that night. We talked for a little while. He somehow snuck a little way into asking for my number, and I mean,
kind of from there.
It was, I was moving from California, so I was only there in Texas for about 2 weeks before we went on our first date.
Yeah.
And then and then now we're 5 years later and we're getting married. So there you go.
So the first date, I actually took her to a Cheesecake Factory. Wasn't too far down the road, and she was about to go on I think a week and a half, 2 week volleyball trip, and I was about to go to Atlanta for a football game, and so it was a Thursday night. Took her out. That was actually the kind of first formal time we were seen out in public and whatnot, and kind of just had a great time, and that was still, obviously we weren't too sure about each other, so that was the first time that we got to go out and really
alone,
and just kind of enjoyed each other's company and really got to know each other a little bit more, and
when you meet in college, you spend so much time with 15 of your friends, and it was the first time we had talked, just the two of us. And I remember he made me eat a lemon, and he has a video of it on his phone still, and it's been a long time since our first date, but we've been on we've been on several since then. I love the most about Drew his eyes. No, I'm just kidding. I love that he is so patient, and he is so honest, and he is so forgiving, and sometimes it's very hard to do. Not that I'm really hard to deal with, I hope I'm not. But every couple has their moments and they bicker and whatnot, but he is wonderful with me, and he is so patient, and he's my best friend. He's my best friend, and I love spending time with him. He's spontaneous. I'm a planner. I plan my days out from morning to night, and he doesn't, and he gets me to try new things and see a different side of myself that I never knew. So it's wonderful when you're with somebody that makes you feel special and makes the best, you yourself, the best you can be. So that's what I do love about him the most.
What I love about Erin the most is her heart. As cliche as that may sound, it is completely true. And if you ask anyone, I would guarantee it'd be the same answer. She lives life just to love people, to serve people, to go out of her way to help people. She is just the kind of spirit. When she walks in a room, she brightens up the entire room and makes everyone smile, and she's just a joy to be around. And so for me to be able to marry someone like that is something that is just, I feel like I've struck gold, just because sometimes she teaches me just how to live life in a way to love people and to go out of my way, even if it's inconvenient for me. And it really challenges me. And so that's probably what I really do just absolutely adore about her.
I knew he was the one the first time I went to his family's home. Like I mentioned earlier, when you're in college, you're with a lot of your friends and people your same age, so you see a different side of somebody when they're with their family. So when I first came home with Drew, it was around Thanksgiving, Christmas time, and I really got to see him in his element. He walked into the room, and he is so happy when he is home. His family is spectacular. They're wonderful, and he was so sweet with his mom. I mean, girls, it's important to marry a mama's boy, and I definitely have one, but it's wonderful. And he has, at that point, he only had one nephew, and Chase was still a baby, and it was so sweet to see him with his nephew, with his family, and really happy and at home and comfortable, and made me feel like I was just part of the family from the first time I met them. So it was wonderful, and that's kind of when I knew that he was going to be the one.
All right. So I knew Erin was the one. It was probably about a couple years into our relationship, and it was getting to that point of, we've been dating a while, and everyone kind of starts asking you, and so I started doing my own searching of just like, all right, like how do I know that she's the one, and kicked it back and forth, and simply one of my friends, because I was talking to him about it, and he just said, well, picture your future without her, and I did, and I spent actually a couple of days doing that, and then I came back to him and was like, it sucks, like that's. Here's John. Oh. But I didn't want to go on like that, and then I went back to even before I met her, and that life before I met her wasn't anything I was too interested in either, and so it was pretty much at that point I answered the question that I already knew, and that was that I was going to start to plan to marry this girl, and so I went into a lot of saving and planning and whatnot, and kind of taking that step forward. But that was kind of just the defining moment of when I knew that it was time to marry her. So the proposal was something I've been planning for probably back in starting November. Erin started, dropping very subtle hints, if you'd say, that she was kind of ready. And
pictures of rings, pictures.
Yeah. Pinterest was her best friend at that point. And so she was in town in December before she went back to California. I found the ring, and as soon as she pretty much left to go to California, I went and bought the ring. And then from there, went out and asked her parents. And so then I took about 3 months of planning this entire, I'm kind of a kid, so I wanted something that was going to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more surprising. So back March 11th, her family comes in for spring break, and she only knows her parents are coming here. And so we're, just having a good weekend. And that night, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of an escape room, but it's this whole elaborate setup that you go in a room. It's like a life-size Clue. And what we had set up in the escape room was something, it was called the Penthouse, and you were looking for a missing necklace. And so you had to go through all these different clues in this fun game to find this missing necklace. And so everyone obviously is in on it except Erin. So we go through, you have an hour to get it, to solve the mystery or whatnot. And so we go through, I'm panicking, obviously, as, I can't get a single clue. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
He was useless, pretty much.
I was pretty much useless. And so we get down to the very end, and there's 4 minutes left, and that's when, we have it all set up to where, the empty ring boxes, in the final cabinet. And so she goes and she opens it and whatnot, and totally over her head. She's an empty ring box, and everyone's out, already has their phones, cameras out and whatnot, and she's like, it's empty, this makes no sense. And and I was like, all right, Erin. And so, then that's when I got on one knee and proposed, and it was a great time that we got to have. It was just my parents and her parents, and that was a really cool moment. And then I got to surprise her one more time, to where when we walked out into the main room, her her brother, her two best friends, she was 2 years old, came in. All of our friends from San Antonio were there. There's about 20 plus people there. And so then it was a whole time of just, crying and celebrating, and just kind of a good weekend to, celebrate what everyone's kind of been waiting on for a little bit. So.
Yeah, and from my perspective, it was funny because I had gone through a very difficult semester, or half a semester. Dental hygiene school is not easy. And so when I got to spring break, I finally had a chance to relax, and I had an exam the following Monday after the break. So I had been studying all day, and I remember thinking, like, man, his family is setting up their house more than they normally do. Like, they're really cleaning up. Like, I mean, especially my parents are coming in. Like, my parents are coming. I knew that, you know, it was going to be a fun week. We have plans, and I had no idea, obviously. And that night, so we went to the airport, got my parents in town. My mom was obviously like, she saw me and she already was crying. I was like, oh, but she always cries when she sees me.
Yeah, about to give it away.
Yeah. So we went out to dinner that night, and it was weird because I remember him thinking, he wasn't talking, he didn't eat all that much food, which is not normal for him. He likes his food. And his brother and family kind of went before us, so it ended up being his parents and my parents and us two in the room, and it was wonderful. I was so involved in the game, I didn't even know what was going on behind me, next to me. I was so ready to get that necklace. And when I opened the ring box, I was so confused, and that's when I turned around and he was on one knee and asked me to marry him. And all I kept thinking was like, he's kidding. There's no way.
She actually didn't say yes. She just said, "Are you kidding me?"
Are you serious?
I was like, is that a good thing, or is it, you know,
because there was a lot of, up to that point, I was given hints, like I said, and it was time, but it was wonderful, and I couldn't have imagined it any other way. It was a wonderful weekend, and my family being there was fantastic. It was, my brother and his fiance hadn't been to Texas in about 4 years, so it was wonderful to see them again in Texas. So.
Mm-hmm. So the wedding is May 26th next year.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of kicking around a few dates and whatnot. Erin actually graduates May
19th.
May 19th. So we're doing it pretty much right as soon as she can, and she'll be able to walk May 19th in San Antonio. We'll be there, and then that whole next week's going to be planning for the wedding and whatnot. And so obviously we were kind of kicking around some dates and some venues, and it just kind of made sense, and we were ready to kind of get this next chapter rolling.
Everything has worked out wonderfully. You know, we were thinking about days, you know, in fall or even in June, and it would be too hot then, and well, we're ready to get married. We're so excited to spend the rest of our lives together, and May 26th is a perfect day, and we're very, very excited. In regards to the future, I am looking forward to just spending every single day with my best friend. He is definitely my person. I go to him for everything, and right now we're doing a little bit of distance. He's in Dallas, I'm in San Antonio, and I cannot wait to just move forward in our relationship and, you know, learn from him every day and grow in our walk and grow together, and I'm very, very excited.
I'm most excited about just the adventures we're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to be in Dallas and San Antonio, you know, just to have a few, you know, timed out weekends is a little tough, but when we actually get to live together and go on these adventures, and that could be with just life in general, travel, and then when one day, I mean, I'm most excited to have some kids of my own. And
have some babies.
Yeah, have some babies, and, you know, start a family and whatnot, just like, you know, a lot of people's dreams. It's a simple one, but it's something that I can't wait to get to and to start with her.
Mm-hmm.